綺麗にまとまりませんけれども、ありがとうございます。それでは英語に行きます。ちょっと待って、英語に行く前にちょっと待って、YouTube がちょっと YouTube が始まらない。YouTube が始まらない。まあもうほんと1時間って難しいよね。ほんと1時間って難しいわ。おやすみなさい。Alright, thank you. This is the SashiCo live streaming. Oops. Is it on now? Just a second, okay? I'm so sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, this... I will switch the language to English, so if you have any questions about Sashiko stitching, I will be answering. Yes, I hope you can hear me well. If you have any issues with the audio, please let me know. All right. It was a little bit of a rough ride in the Japanese one, so I will kind of take it easy in the English one. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I mean, not any questions. Yeah, ちょっと待ってね. Just a second. The phone is getting hot, so I have to turn on the fan, which might... Sorry, there might be some noise. I am so sorry that you hear the noise. I try to make it as... Hello. Okay, probably this might be better for the YouTube, and this might be better for the Instagram. The phone is getting super hot, so I have to turn on the AC. Not AC, the fan. We don't have AC. If it's too loud, please let me know. I'll try my best to adjust it, but as of now, this is something I have to do. And I'm doing this simultaneously on the live YouTube and Instagram. The question on the Instagram, questions on the YouTube might be easier for me to get it because the comments in the Instagram runs pretty fast. It's okay, great, thank you. Stress? I don't think so. Still, I was not actually talking about the school issues much. I don't know how you got that impression, but the last Japanese live streaming was not about the school issue. Yes, it was very sad that I had a announcement for the school rescheduling, but my frustration is not there. So I am okay. I'm okay. It's not there. It's more like how we differently understand the support each other. Yep, I was actually not talking. Was it about school? I don't think so. It's more like how we react to those comments. I talk too much in Japanese, so I will just calm down a little bit and I'll talk something else. I have to switch my brain. Yeah. Now I'm curious as to why the Japanese video was so stressful. Was I that stressful? I was not that stressful. No, I was not that stressful. Did I sound like so stressful? I did not say that. I don't think I was stressful that much. I was. How can I say that? How can I explain that? It is kind of difficult to explain, but the Japanese. The live streaming in Japanese, like 1 hour ago, is that My pleasure. I'm sorry, there was a comment. And thank you so much for the comment. Continue to do these videos. Absolutely, absolutely. As much as I am gonna be exhausted by the new school calendar, I'll try to be online as much as I can. Well, this is more like for me. I feel much more relaxed, or you know, I have to do SashiCo anyway to keep my sanity. Instead, it's relaxing. Huh? I'm sorry. What did I miss? Yes, Sashiko is very much relaxing for that. Some people think that, but relaxation is more like a byproduct of the stitching itself. Some people misunderstand Sashiko as more like a sophisticated practice. So some say that the one has to be relaxed before they stitch Sashiko. Like some of them are very uncomfortable me talking something very negative or something frustrated, something with frustration while I do Sashiko stitching, and they kind of they say calm me down, or you should be I don't like this word, but you should think positive. Sashiko is so calming. But it's more like a opposite. I get frustrated, therefore I do Sashiko and I can be calm. It's a little different order. So one has to be calm while doing Sashiko is kind of an incorrect statement. 時々止まる? Does this stop sometimes? That's then because of the phones. Butsu naru? Ma,いいや. So relaxing is very, yes, core of Sashiko stitching, but at the same time, one can be very much emotional when they start doing Sashiko, and then they can get relaxed after stitching. So, this is the very Japanese ordinary practice. I don't think everybody was as calm or positive as the other teachers or masters. They were very much frustrated by daily things. Mainly probably complaints to the the family. Probably for the husband or the mother-in-law. They were not happy about those days, and they stitched, and then they got calm and they prepared for the next day. So there was a comment about me being so upset on the Instagram. Not upset, but being on the... I sometimes share negative, not even negative. I sometimes share my honest opinion, but there were persons saying that I'm so negative on the Instagram. Some of them say that I should be positive because I'm doing Sashiko. That is not quite the equation there. First of all, I'm not that negative. I'm just sharing my honest opinion. Not even opinion. It's honest insight. I'm just sharing what I know. Second of all, nobody has to be calm when you do Sashiko stitching. They may get calm, they may be relaxed after stitching, but it's not a vice versa. I think in order to do the Zen practice, you might have to prepare to be mindful before you got into the Zen practice, I believe. But in Sashiko, you can bring any kind of emotions into the fabric, and after stitching like a while, hours, 2 hours, then you might find yourself outside of that emotions. But technically speaking, you don't even have to be calm. You can just stitch for 5 hours without being calm. You can keep getting frustrated if that's what you want. So, well, I believe that they're not twisting anything, just that's how they understand Sashiko, but that's the other side of my understanding. Can I ask about Sashiko history? Do you know it was common for men to practice Sashiko? Absolutely, I will talk about that. Another question. I have two questions right now. Do I have opinions about using Sashiko stencil and question pen? What is the question pen? Stencil. I will talk about that next. So the Japanese history. Well, I mean, okay, so the history wise, it was not practiced by men. Nope. So the question is if the common for the men, Sashiko is mainly practiced by women. As long as I know nobody who practices Sashiko as a male. That's a big complex that I have. I have a very strong complex that I'm not a woman. I often complain that to my friends that I cannot be the true Sashiko stitchers because I'm not a female. I mean, please don't take this as like a sexist comment. I strongly believe in equality in the genders, and there's no difference between the genders. But there are some, historically speaking, the Sashiko was inherited by women, practiced by women, and most of the Sashiko Sashiko artisans I know are women. In fact, I know only my father as the male Sashiko stitchers. So today's society in 2020, there are many Sashiko stitchers, like male stitchers. However, traditionally speaking, Sashiko was a job by women, and therefore there were not that many male, not many. I don't know anybody. And there are some, there's some stories about the power of women in terms of the spirituality and animism. So, in order to, well, this is something I don't want to say in today's society, but I have to probably say in today's society. There is something I cannot recreate because I'm not a woman. There is something I can do because I'm not a woman. But as I keep saying, Sashiko is more than stitching. Sashiko is more than creating the patterns. And the more I learn about the history or concept of animism, spirituality, religions, what the Japanese believed, being a man like I am is quite big disadvantage. So that's another reason I'm kind of sharing the Sashiko. If I keep it for myself as what my family intended, it might lose the some some integrity there. So I would like to share that with others who might be able to get the core of Sashiko one day. I don't know. It's very much about the technical issues. And as one, thank you so much for the comment. I hope it's good if men enjoy Sashiko too, if it keeps some of the Sashiko's culture alive. Absolutely, absolutely. I feel the same way. So there's nothing wrong for men practicing and joining Sashiko. I am here too. I am here too. So I'm one of those. So I enjoyed the men stitching Sashiko as well. In fact, I feel very much. How can I say? I feel very much encouraged when I see the male Sashiko stitches. I feel like I have a friend there. I mean, everybody's my friend, but at the same time, like I feel like a little. The, many people discuss about the gender equality, and I'm on that. I 100% believe in the equality, but at the same time, there's a category, men and women. It was fun that after all, like I was in the QuiltCon 2020 as a faculty, and the best of the 2020 QuiltCon exhibition was also. I forgot his name. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. He was a male. It was a male, so he and I and another gentleman from England, we kind of kept talking and talking and talking. So it's kind of nice to have a same gender as a friend, I guess. So yes, to answer the question, it was for the women, and historically speaking, Sashiko was for the women. That was the practice by the women for the women, for that matter. But same as cooking in the Western culture, I guess. The cooking is mainly by women, I think. I'm not quite sure. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong for men practicing Sashiko. But for me, as the heir of the culture of the one family, I have been doing this for a long time, and it's, of course, sometimes wonder if the fact that I'm not a woman might affect the culture, like an original picture of the culture. So, but that's my problem. I encourage any man, any people, for that matter, any genders, any people to enjoy Sashiko. I hope it answered the question. I hope it answered the question. So the second question was about the stencil. Um, my opinion about stencil. Well, I don't stencil, right? Like stencil as the like a plastic template that you can transfer the pattern by yourself. So my opinion, my insight about those stencil is that it's boring. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's quite boring because you can get only one pattern and one size pattern by one stencil. That's quite boring. So by learning how to draw the patterns on the fabric, or by learning how to transfer the pattern on the fabric, we can be creative as we want. So stencil itself is gonna limit your creativity because everybody's doing the exactly same patterns on everything, right? And they call themselves artists. It's kind of boring. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the stencil. I sometimes use that too. But I hope that the stencil is a choice instead of the only one way to prepare the pattern. For those who take the online Sashiko class, I try to teach them how to draw the patterns without the stencil. It's possible to do that, so it's another learning process. Stencil is a very easy way to prepare the fabric with patterns, I understand that, but at the same time I want it to be as a choice instead of the only option. It's boring, just simply boring. Boring. I hope it makes sense. Did I answer the question? No one should tell me how to run your Instagram. As long as everything is polite, then what's the problem? You say so, but there are people who there are people who comments that. I believe your comment is 100% accurate, but there are many kinds of people. So, and I don't control somebody's feeling too. Look, I'm very surprised how many interesting comments I get occasionally. After watching me, so my husband said he wants to try because he looks so. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be a women's thing. Can be for anybody. But again, like I felt a little bit, not inferior, but I think we quite worry. I worried that I might not quite get to the point because I'm not a woman, and I think that's a natural concern if one culture is specifically developed within the one specific gender. Do you start seeing the pattern? Even like one Asanoha pattern has so many ways to stitch. So, like even one Asanoha pattern can make millions of patterns by changing the angle, size, the way to stitch, the color. Anything can be. It is up to your creativity. So back to the story of stencil, I just feel that it's good. It's good that people use stencil, but I think it's boring. Yeah, boring is probably the great way to say that. More boring is the sorry, since I'm talking about boring, like what is the boring in Sashiko, there might be a question like what do I think about those pattern printed already on the fabric with the stitches length on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? So when I prepare the fabric, I do not pre-draw the stitches length, but most of the Sashiko kit available in the world are more like this line with the Sashiko stitch size already pre-printed, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I find it quite boring because they tell you the size of stitches you have to make and you call yourselves artist. by somebody telling you what to do. That's a little contradiction to me. So I don't prefer that. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't find it fun. Because Sashiko stitches size should be defined by the stitcher's personality, characters, how you feel, how he feel, how she feel that day. Depends on the patterns, depends on what she wants to make, depends on, like, it's the size of stitches is where the Sashiko stitches become creative or artistic. If that is already decided before the stitching, I don't really find it fun. And also it's gonna slow down the stitching speed as well. So but again, there's nothing wrong. You can start from that. It's a very good way to. I wouldn't say a good way, because I don't. Frankly speaking, I don't want anybody to start that way, because by doing so, by focusing on the size of length of stitches, we learn how to make stitches instead of how to move the needle or thimble. That may be another obstacle when you need to stitch like I do right now. So I do. If somebody asks me for the recommendation, I do not recommend them to start the Sashiko stitching with the fabric with the stitches size already printed. Many people ask me, like, how can I make this size? How can I make the stitches so even in a good speed? Answer is very quick, because I'm not trying to make it even. Do I spend so much energy to make each stitches so even? Nope, I don't even think about that. It is even as the result. But by learning how to make even stitches, then you will forget about the rhythm, and then as the result, it gets more difficult to get a better even stitches. So that's why I don't recommend that. Plus, some people say that this Sashiko stitches size should be like the rice grain size. What kind of rice are we talking about? Many kind of rice. Is it cooked? Is it stir fried? What kind of rice are we talking about? So it's fun. It's just fun to not to care about the stitches size. Yes. So it is true. It is very true that the Japanese people actually, well, said that what is the best size of the stitches, and they said rice size, probably. But that's within a very, 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 very small community where everybody ate the same rice. So that comment is kind of accurate when the Sashiko existed in a very, very small community as it was. It existed in a small community, and each Sashiko was different each other. by the locations. Yes, so the comments of the rice grain size is kind of a nice example of sharing what kind of stitches size they should make. But that is different based on what kind of sashiko they're talking about, based on the kind of sashiko they're talking about and kind of the fabric they use, kind of like, project they stitch on. So it's not a universal language, it's not a universal answer for that. Sushi rice is short grain? Are you sure? By the way, there's no such a thing as sushi rice in Japan, so no, there's no such a thing as sushi rice. There's a rice prepared for sushi, but if you go to Walmart, we can get a sushi rice bag. You cannot get that kind of bag in Japan, as long as I remember. I might be wrong. I have not been back to Japan for 7 years, so they might have been different. But rice for sushi is actually the rice prepared for sushi, and they don't sell it in a bag. So that's another difference. Another observation about the culture. How much heavier does your fabric feel now? A very good question. Not really. It's really thick. It's kind of thicker, but not really heavy. But yeah, it's gonna get heavier and heavier. Yeah, there are many words that it's not really the Japanese, yet people think it's Japanese. Or the same word, Japanese word, yet indicate completely different thing. For example, futon is not really a sofa in Japan. And this is a very good example, but futon in the US or I don't know if it's in Europe the same way, but in the US, when you hear the word futon, you probably image some of this like sofa thing, like a couch with the couch which can be convertible as the bed. We call it futon, right? In the US or in the English. It is not futon in Japan, so be careful with that. You might not get what you think in your brain if you go to Japan. And also, matcha is not a grounded green tea leaves. So that's another thing. Ah, ちょっと待って。これ糸こきがすごいな。細かい。Yes, futon is a bed. I mean, not a bed. Futon is a word for the sleeping gadget, not a gadget. Sleeping like mattress and also the blanket. Like one set of futon means it can be the bed, it can be the mattress, or it can be the blanket, thick blanket. Futon can be two of that. And matcha and matcha と緑茶はちゃう。In my understanding, matcha has a different ingredients than green tea. So it's not a grounded green tea for sure. I do not recall what kind of material it was. But it is different. So, and this is one thing. The green tea is not sweet in Japan. That was the biggest cultural shock I ever heard in the US. Cultural shock. I'm not complaining. It's a shock. I was so happy to find the green tea and I gulped it and I was almost I almost cried because it was super like why was it so why I still don't know it. I think they said like Japanese green tea or something on the label. I remember the brand Arizona green tea and it was super sweet and you know it says sweetened. Yeah, it's my fault. I didn't read that. And they sell probably unsweetened tea by now. That was 2002 when I came to the US for the first time. If I want to drink something sweet, I'm gonna drink Mountain Dew or something like that. I wanted to drink something unsweet, so is Mountain Dew still there? Just tell us if there are words that will get us in trouble because they have double meaning. I will tell you that if I could think of something. There are a lot of things. I don't really take a note. I should probably take a note, but what else? That's a good question. So matcha. Also, sushi rice is another example. Matcha, ちょっと待って。I'll think about it. Matcha futon. What else? I can't. Oh, it's kind of difficult if I think like that. Sad. American diet has desensitized to sugar. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm one of those. I'm now becoming one of the Americans. So sugar is good. I mean, I'm not gonna deny the sugar. I enjoy the Mountain Dew a lot. Did enjoy it a lot, but it was just I was young. I never went outside of the Japan. I came to the US for the first time on that year. It's very lonely. I went to Michigan, so there was not that many Japanese people around. Not Japanese food available back then. Well, there were some, but not like the Wegmans today. They sell sushi around. So when I found I think that was the Sam's Club. When I found that Arizona tea, that was super. Well, I bought it, of course, as a bulk, and I couldn't even finish drinking. As much as I kind of, you might understand, I am very proud of Japanese culture. You can tell me that you can say that I am very proud of Japanese culture. But at the same time, I do respect American culture as well. Please don't get me wrong with that. I just hope that we can have the mutual respect, mutual understanding each other. Do I drink Japanese genmaicho when I have a chance? Yes, I do. Yep, Mountain Dew and Doritos. What is wrong with that? It's perfect. That's my college life. Yep. Ah, good old days. No drugs, just Mountain Dew and Doritos. I don't know which is better, but Mountain Dew and Doritos and then cigarette. Ah, that's a good life. But thanks to that I can speak English. You know, I couldn't speak English when I came to the US. I could read, I could write, I could get scores on the test, but speaking wise, Glizzies. What is the glizzies? I'm sorry, what about glizzies? I don't know what glizzies is, I'm sorry. Hi. Hi, Sakura. Yabite, Sakura! Hi. Hi. Sakura, yeah. Ah, 痛い. Sorry, I still don't get what the greasy is. What am I making? That's a very good question. I don't know. um, do hot dogs? I didn't know that. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Greases are hot dogs. Wow. No, I didn't taste that. I didn't have that. Hot pockets. Are there still hot pockets? I remember the hot pockets, but not the greasies. Was I in the US? I think I was. Does my cat knows I talk to her in Japanese, so she may know the Japanese, but my wife talks to her in Russian or Hebrew, and my daughter talks to her in English, so my cat is probably a Quattro-Ringo by now. But I got an honor to name her in Japanese, so her name is Sakura. Sakura is the cherry blossom in Japanese. Sure. It's about, well, probably 10 more minutes and then the Instagram will shut down the live streaming. It's another, it's 1 hour is the limit of this TV, I mean Instagram TV, so I will finish that. I hope I can come back next week around the same time. But because of the school closure, school reschedule, I don't know if I really can. Well, I am too old for the. I'm sorry, I'm really too old for the comic. The last comic is really. Wow, yeah. I came to the US in 2002 and it was there already, but I kind of stopped reading that. So this will become like this pattern. It's much smaller. I said that I'm gonna make a mask out of this, and it has been what 4 weeks since. Float, yes. That's the. I'm looking at the back side of the fabric. So this one is going to be a sample. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I do actually have a plan for this. This is gonna be a sample for the next kind of, not a project, but so my message is that everybody has their own stitches size. So if there are 100 Sashiko stitches, I believe there are 100 stitches length, 100 stitches density. You know, everybody has different stitches rhythm, and that's the beauty of stitching, right? So that's my message, and I don't want them to, like, I want them to learn. I want you to learn how to stitch, how to talk to the fabric with your own stitches instead of being accurate or being keep judging yourself. So I did this one project in Japan that let's try to stitch the exactly same pattern with the same size, with the same fabric, with the exactly same thread. The color is different, color can be different, but then let's see how we can enjoy the difference, how we can celebrate the difference between each stitches. And we actually had about 27 stitches, and it was actually quite good. It was quite good project. We made one big wall hanging out of those 27 stitches Asanoha pattern. So I was actually going to do it before the spring so that I can bring them back to Japan and make one piece, but it got cancelled because of the COVID. But I still have a hope to do that, and I am kind of making a sample right now. Like, you know, I want to contribute one as well, so I'm going to contribute to that. And let's see. So everybody has, it's quite difficult because this is quite small stitches, and mastering the running stitch is quite important to, not even mastering, knowing how to do the running stitch is quite important to make a good stitches on this. So do you use thread with lines to measure the basic? Yes, absolutely. There are patterns here. There are little bit patterns here too. It's not like that visible too. So that might be an. I just want to share the fun of, kind of, how can I say, the fun part of Sashiko sharing each other. So that's something I'm thinking for the next, not even project, next, how do you say those things? Not a project, next, not a gathering. Oh, project, right? Probably right. either I might be first to finish this live streaming, or this thread, or the Instagram might tell me when to shut down. Let me just keep finishing this much thread and then I'll shut it off. Thank you for the YouTube as well. I didn't have any comments I saw. Yep, I believe that I answered all the comments on the YouTube. Yes. I hope I hope I can come back to the live streaming next Saturday as well. I will notify that on the Instagram story as soon as I figure out when I can do it. And after that, yep, it's gonna be like that for a while. I was hoping to make it regular live streaming on Friday or something, but again, since my daughter's school decided to reschedule their calendar, so let's see what I can do. My pleasure. There are many more videos archived on the YouTube. I recently started doing that both on the Instagram and YouTube because I got a better equipment. That was like 2 weeks ago. If you don't mind the bad quality videos, I have tons of archives on YouTube, which is sashi.co, the same account. Some of them are tutorials. As much as I want everybody to take my online class or in-person workshop, I don't want to filter them by by the money they have, I guess. So it's pretty much everything is there. So if you are interested in learning how to do Sashiko stitching, please check the YouTube channel. If you need like a specific help or like how can I say shortcut to get the things I'm talking about, then please consider the online class, online workshop, like in-person workshop as well. But everything else is actually there. My pleasure. Yep, 10 seconds remaining. Alright, there we go. Okay, this is today's result. It's gonna get more later on. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye. Alright, for the YouTube, thank you so much for the another live streaming. I will come back next. And I will come back next Saturday, I hope. If you have any questions, please leave the comments. I will try to focus on the YouTube to answer the questions. It's much easier for me to read the questions on the YouTube, so I hope I can answer that more. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. Bye bye.